Wow, how about that? Wow, how about that? How about that? The Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. How about that? What do you think about that? Bills, Jets, next on Bills postgame. Let's get it on. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sports. From the fans' perspective, here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun. What's going on, Bills Mafia? It is your host, Scott McGregor. Happy Victory Monday to you, Bills Mafia. What is going on, everyone? My name is Scott McGregor. Thank you so much for coming in to this episode of Bills Postgame. The Buffalo Bills go ballistic and sweep the New York Jets in the final of two meetings between the New York Jets. 40-14, your final. Hello, everyone, and welcome into our Week 17 recording, our Week 15 recording, all the way up to Week 15, including the bye week, which we didn't have any real good content for you for that week, but that's okay. We do have the games for you, but all those, including our our Lions recap, all those I believe are out on our Sports for Beginners podcast feed. My name is Scott McGregor, as I said. Yes, all those up to week 15 are out and in the way. Our week 16 recap of Patriots and Bills, stay tuned. That should be coming your way eventually. Among everything else that we have for you still to come. But we got to talk about week 17. A couple of weeks ago, the Jets were defeated close. It was a field goal that separated this game. Head coaches, as always, Sean McDermott for your Buffalo Bills. And of course, for the New York Jets, they now have a different head coach in the locker room for the Jets. We'll touch on that just very quickly before we get to the quarterbacks, which, as you know, for Buffalo is Josh Allen. And for the New York Jets, that head coach is none other than, that quarterback is none other than Aaron Rodgers. Now, to Dolphins fans tuning into this show right now, whether you've tuned into last week's show or you're just tuning into this one now, welcome to the program. I can't imagine why you'd be tuning in right now at this time. But who knows? By the time the game recap goes live, the game that you're watching is probably out of play by now. Anyways, there's a lot for us to get into. A lot. Specifically, I want to talk about what this means for Buffalo. Now, I know. We're all wondering, did we get the number one seed? Is the number one seed going to be ours with this victory? Well, I hate to tell you this, Bills Mafia. I really do. But unfortunately, the Chiefs stole Christmas for the Buffalo Bills. and got themselves a gift in the number 1 seed. So the Chiefs, sadly, have clinched the number 1 seed. But don't think that I am a bit sour because of that. I wanted the Steelers to win more than any of you did. I wanted the Steelers to win that game. And that's coming from a Pittsburgh Penguins hockey fan that's a Bills fan in the football side of things. But I wanted the Steelers to, I guess you could say, steal Christmas away from the Kansas City Chiefs and gift the Bills the number 1 seed should they win against the Jets today, like they did today. But it was not in the cards. We'll talk about it all in a little bit. Robert Saleh was the head coach, but he is not the head coach of the New York Jets this year or right now. Let me just see who's the head coach right now of the New York Jets right now. You know what? Regardless, we know that the Jets parted ways with one of their coaches. So what we want to know is who it. Oh, there we go. Jeff Ulbridge. There we go. That's the head coach right now. Now the Jets, first of all, coming into this game, were 4-11. They were 4-11 coming into this game. They are dropped to 4-12. The Bills were 13-2. Sorry, they were 12-3, I should say. They improved to 13-3, which is good enough to clinch the number 2 seed in the AFC. But we want the number 1 seed, right? Well, unfortunately, it was not to be. And we're going to find out about that in a little bit. Because I want to talk about Wednesday's games, and I want to talk about everything else. If this show ends up being 1 hour, that's completely fine. Because there's a lot for us to talk about on this program. With that said, we're going to take our first time out of the program. When we return to Bill's post game, we're going to talk about how this mess started for the New York Jets in our half-by-half breakdown of the game breakdown. So it's half-by-half game breakdown time when we return. Game stats will follow in the next segment after that, along with our Week 17 look around, and we'll get into the answer as to why the Chiefs are now the number 1 seed, and we are the 2 seed with this W today against the Jets. Your final score, 40-14 in favor of the Buffalo Bills. We'll break it all down in just a moment. Stick with us. Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches.
Looking for conversations on books and more? as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications, you've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
Cianity Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on Cianity Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on Cianity Radio.
Don't miss a moment of the action when we talk about Pittsburgh Penguin hockey or Professional Women's Hockey League action. We've got a couple of those games coming your way today and in tomorrow, as we are talking about this victory Monday, 40-14. The Buffalo Bills defeat the New York Jets. But don't miss our coverage of the Minnesota Frost taking on the Montreal Victoire coming up after this game or before. You can check this one out, this recap out. And you also can check out our recap of the New York Islanders and the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're playing in a home-and-home series. I'll have 2 recaps for you. Those recaps, however, might drop on New Year's Eve, just before we get to some New Year's Eve hockey between the Detroit Red Wings and the Pittsburgh Penguins. That ought to be a good one to close out the new year. We will also have a PWHL recap at that point in time, and that's going to be our edition of the Battle of Ontario. So I'm looking forward to that game. There is action tomorrow or today, as you'll be listening to this hopefully on a Monday, December the 30th, which is tomorrow. But there is some action happening there as the Victoire will take on the Fleet. We'll talk about that more on PWHL Recap. All right, let's get into the football game. Let's get into this football game. The 4-11 Jets versus the 12-3 Bills. How did things go down? Well, here we go. Spoiler alert. For the first time on Bills postgame this year, we have a safety to talk about. But here's what happened before. Josh Allen goes to the left guard for a 1-yard touchdown. Tyler Bass, extra point, up and good. And the Bills go up the game's early first quarter lead, 7-0 in favor of the Bills. Alec Anderson was reported in as eligible. 7-0 Buffalo after 1 quarter of play. Second quarter of play, here we go. Rodgers drops back, still drops back. A.J. Epinesa gets in there to sack him. And the Bills get a safety to go up 9-0. But don't hold things back yet. Second quarter, Bills up 9-0 still. The Jets without a point. Because of that safety, they gave the ball to the Bills. Bills go on a drive that goes 9 plays, 42 yards. And Tyler Bass is called on for a 39-yard field goal. He puts it up and through. It's 12-0 Buffalo at the half. Out of the half, Bills up 12 out of the half, as I said. We're into the second half now of our breakdown. Josh finds Amari Cooper deep for a 30-yard touchdown. Bass on the extra point, which is up and good. Bills go up 19-0. Bass on the extra point. It is up and good. Bills up 19-0. The Jets were down 12-0 at the half. Now they're down by 19. Next time the Bills have the ball, James Cook. 1-yard touchdown. Bass's extra point is up and good. And this is where the Bills go up 26-0. But speaking of that, they're still ahead big. You got it on cruise control here, Buffalo. It looks like we got it on cruise control here. Let's see what we could do here. Still third quarter. 26-0 Buffalo. Josh gonna find Keon Coleman for a 14-yard touchdown. There was a penalty on the Jets. S. Thomas for unnecessary roughness. 8 yards enforced between downs. Extra point by Tyler Bass is good. And before we've hit the fourth quarter, the Buffalo Bills are on top 33-0. Fourth quarter rolls around. Here we go. Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers are out of the game. Mitch Trubisky, he will find Tyrell Shavers for a 69-yard touchdown run. Pass, I should say. Extra point by Tyler Bass is up and good. Tyrod Taylor, remember him? He is at quarterback at this point in time. And he finds Garrett Wilson for a 9-yard touchdown. Here come the Jets. He'll also find Coinklin. I'm going to go with TC to complete a 2-point conversion and succeed. It's 40-8 Buffalo. 40-8 Buffalo. Buffalo's up 40-8. So still a big margin here. But the Jets have cut in there. Well, I mean, they haven't really made a dent, to be honest. They're down by 32. So they were down by 40 with no score, but they're down by 32 at this point. Next time they get the ball, Taylor, same guy, TC, 20-yard touchdown, but this time they go for 2, and they are not able to complete the pass on going for 2. So our final score, Buffalo 40, Jets 14. And the Bills lock up that number 2 seed in the AFC. We really would like that number 1 seed, but the Steelers couldn't beat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll talk about that in just a couple of moments. Bills postgame rolls on right after this. Coming up when we return, how did the Bills' chances of getting the number 1 seed not pan out with the Chiefs winning the number 1 seed on Christmas Day, plus other finals from around the league, and of course our game stats. Game balls also still to come, a victory speech still to come as well. And as we proceed to wrap up the program, I want to remind you to stick around, especially if you're a Dolphins fan, because spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, the Dolphins' playoff hopes are still alive, and they could very well, if things go their way, they could very well be seeing Buffalo in the playoffs in the wild card round. Spoiler alert, stick around to find out what's been going on, even as the Dolphins play in the late afternoon slate today on the Sunday as we record this program. Again, to Bills Mafia, happy Victory Monday to you. We'll be back in just a moment. Stick with us.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations, as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
All right, everyone, back on Bills postgame Victory Monday, Week 17 in the books for Buffalo. Week 17 as we record this podcast on Sunday. Not quite in the books yet. Still a game on Monday night to be determined and a game on Sunday night to be determined. Well, let's kick off this segment before we get to the game stats for this part with a look around the league and what has happened. All right, we're going to do so via the CBS Sports app, and here we go. Merry Christmas, everyone. The NFL kicked off Week 17 with a bang with some great games on the slate on Wednesday, December 25th, 2024. We had the Steelers taking on the Chiefs, who improved from 14-1 to 15-1. The Steelers were 10-5, looking to go to 11-5, but they fall to 10-6, losing to the Kansas City Chiefs 29-10. Thus, the Kansas City Chiefs take ownership. Yes, I said they take ownership of the number one seed in the AFC. But to some of us, including our good buddy over at On the Ice and Behind the Benches, shout out to Thomas here, he thinks this Bills victory says otherwise. Honestly, I don't disagree, but the reality of it is, Bills Mafia, because the Chiefs beat the Steelers the Chiefs are now the number 1 seed. They clinched it. They've wrapped it up. The tiebreaker is not even going to matter. Now, I mean, I probably won't be saying that next week, but that it is what it is. The Chiefs took care of business and they won the number 1 seed. So the Chiefs took care of business. And obviously there was something that we didn't know about that made it happen. There was a scenario we didn't know about for the Chiefs that made this happen. Anywho, moving on. In the late window of our Christmas Day action, the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, and Derrick Henry go local on the Texans, beating the Texans 31-2, but Derrick Henry did get safetied, giving the Texans their only points of the game. They fall to 9-7. The Ravens improve to 11-5 and have now taken over the spot the Steelers would have been in if they had beaten the Chiefs. In the Thursday night football game, not much to say here, but field goal after field goal after field goal. The Seahawks improved to 9-7, beating the Bears, who fall to 4-12. 6-3 the final in Chicago. Hey, at least you only lost by 1 field goal. So you only lost by that was a 3-point contest pretty much. In the Saturday slate, I should say, the Cincinnati Bengals force overtime with Denver. Oh, here we go. Deja vu. Here we go. Well, regardless, they do win this game. The Denver Broncos do lose this game 30-24 to the Cincinnati Bengals to improve to 8-8. The Denver Broncos fall to 9-7. But they are still in it. The Denver Broncos are still in it, but could be eliminated if they lose to the Chiefs next week. So it's a must-win game next week for the Broncos. It is a must-win game. Same could be said for Miami as it is this week. Arizona also fell in their game. They fell to the Rams 13-9. We talk about a team going local on another one. How about the Chargers improving to 10-6, defeating the now 13-3, the 3-13, I should say, New England Patriots 40-7. And in the early slate window of games, besides our game, we had a good one going on there in New York between the Giants and the Colts. But the Colts fall to the Giants 45-33. The Giants improve to 3-13. Indianapolis falls to 7-9. The Jacksonville Jaguars improved to 4-12. The Tennessee Titans fall to 3-13. They lose to the Jaguars 20-13. The Las Vegas Raiders top the Saints 25-10 to improve to 4-12. The Saints go to 5-11. The Philadelphia Eagles fly, mortalize the Dallas Cowboys 41-7. No, not myrtleize. They destroy. I'll say destroy to make it a better word. They destroy the Dallas Cowboys 41-7 to improve to 13-3. 7-9, the Dallas Cowboys fall to. Carolina try as they might, but they fall to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 48-14. And the Buccaneers with the win improved to 9-7. The Carolina Panthers fall to 4-12. Ongoing right now, the only games ongoing in the slate. Not a lot of games in the late slate for this Sunday. We have a 3-3 tie between the Miami Dolphins and the Cleveland Browns. And the Packers are on top of the Vikings 3-0 early on. Coming up later tonight, the Falcons are in Washington to take on the Commanders at 8:20 p.m. Eastern. At 8:15 on Monday, the Lions take on the 49ers. Schedule alert, schedule alert, schedule alert, schedule alert. The last week of the season will begin on Saturday with 2 games played out on Saturday and a couple of games played out on Sunday to close out the new season, to close out this season, I should say, of NFL football this year. So tonight, if you're catching this on the 23rd of excuse me. Excuse me. I meant to say the 30th of December. That was a oops in my put up there on my notes. Sorry, that's the 30th, not the 23rd. The 23rd is come and gone. It's a Lions-Niners matchup on Monday. I'll provide you with a pick for that game, as well as we count down to Sunday Night Football. I'll provide you, time permitting, I will provide you with a pick for Sunday Night Football. If I don't provide you with a pick for Sunday Night Football, I will provide you with my pick for Lions-Niners tonight on a Monday Night Football. If you're catching this on a Monday, which odds are you are, out of many great content that we still have to get to you. We still got to get to you. Speaking of what we still got to get to you, Buffalo won. Buffalo defeated the Jets 40-14. We will give you yes, we will give you a look inside the locker room for the post-game victory speech. We will give that to you coming up soon. We will give that to you as soon as we have it available. As always, at the end of the show, we will provide you with Shout, the song. We'll provide you with our Shout song. That's coming up later in the show as we wrap up. We play this whether the Bills win or they lose. But as we go into game stats, courtesy of the NFL's CBS Sports app, download the app for yourself and follow your favorite team all year long. We bring you our Shout song that will be coming up later in the program, just later on in the program. So stick with us. All right. Before we take this break that will lead us to the game balls of the game and my play of the game coming up in our next segment as well, let's talk stats. Let's talk these game stats. Here we go. Here we go, Bills Mafia. Here we go. Time of possession, we always start with that one. And we're going to go by team. So let's start with the 4-12 Jets. They had the ball for 28 minutes and 43 seconds. They had 20 first downs in total, 9 passing, 9 rushing, 2 penalty first downs. They were 4 of 9 on third down, 0 and 1 on fourth down. I think the Bills did get the fourth down conversion they did play on, but apparently they didn't do it on fourth down. But anyways, they went for it on fourth down. Both teams went for it on fourth down, didn't get it. 0 for 1 on both sides. We'll get to Buffalo on third down and elsewhere in just a moment. But continuing on with the Jets, 57 plays, 281 yards for the Jets. 4.9 yards per play they averaged. Passing yards, 195 yards passing. That included Aaron Rodgers throwing for 112 yards and Tyrod Taylor throwing for 83 yards. 2 touchdowns for Tyrod Taylor. 5 of 9. Rodgers went 12 of 18 in completion attempts. Tyrod Taylor, 11 of 14. Altogether, the team went in passing. 23 of 32 of the completion attempts were completed by both quarterbacks, averaging 4.7 yards per pass. Both quarterbacks for the Jets were sacked. Actually, it was only Aaron Rodgers who was sacked. He was sacked 4 times and lost 26 yards because of it. Rushing yards, 112 yards on the ground. 21 rushes for the Jets, averaging 5.3 yards per rush. In the red zone, they were perfect on goal to go efficiency, 1 for 1. 1 for 2 in the red zone on red zone efficiency. They had 16 penalties for 120 yards, 3 turnovers in the game, 2 fumbles, 1 lost. Interceptions thrown, those coming off of Aaron Rodgers, 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, both passing, none on the ground and none defensively. 5 touchdowns were thrown by Buffalo, 2 on the ground and 3 in the air. But you probably should mention that the special team safety touchdown, well, we'll count that under safeties for Buffalo. No defense and special team touchdowns for either squad. The Jets finish off our stats here for them with 79 return yards, 2 attempts, 25 yards punt, 2 punt return attempts for 25 yards, 2 kickoff return attempts for 54 yards, no interception yards, no safeties for the Jets, 1 safety for the Bills, 2 interception yards, 26 yards returning on the 2 interceptions thrown by Aaron Rodgers. Kickoff yards, the Bills had 3 of those attempts, 77 yards. 32 yards on just 2 punting attempts for 135 yards. 3 touchdowns passing, 2 on the ground, 5 touchdowns total in that game. in today's game, I should say. No interceptions thrown by Josh Allen. No fumbles lost. No turnovers for Buffalo. They had 7 penalties for 60 yards. Perfect in goal to go efficiency at 2 for 2. Perfect in the red zone, 3 for 3. 2.9 yards per rush for 34 rushes. 97 yards rushing the ball. Not too bad, but I could have been a little bit more. So good job by the Jets there. Again, no sack yards lost, as Josh Allen was not sacked in this game. He kept getting out of the sacking area. 9 yards averaged on a pass per pass. 17 of 28 passing completions were completed, including Mitch Trubinsky, who came into the game. Yards per play, 5.6 yards average. 251 yards passing. Total for the team, 62 plays, 348 yards. 8 of 14 Buffalo is on third down. They were 0 for 1 on fourth down. Had 23 first downs, 10 passing, 7 rushing, 6 penalty first downs. And again, 8 of 14 on third down. Now we wrap up with their time of possession, 31 minutes and 17 seconds. Josh was not picked off at all through 2 touchdowns. 16 of 27 completions for 2 touchdowns. Good enough for 182 yards passing for Buffalo. For Josh Allen, I should say. 66.7 yards averaged per throw. 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown pass by Mitch Trubinsky. 69 yards. And that is all she wrote for our game stats. All right. Coming up after this next break, take a look at our late slate of games. And because Denver lost on Saturday, the Miami Dolphins season, hopes are still alive. Talk about that. So we will talk about that when we return to Bill's postgame, and what possibly needs to happen for Miami and Buffalo to be a conversation playoff in this year's playoff. Dolphins fans, especially that fan, I'm not going to mention his name, but that guy who is calling Buffalo and Miami in a playoff match this year, you just might get what you just might get what you want. You just might get what you want. Will the Bills and Dolphins see the Dolphins finish the Bills off, and the Bills season will be a choke in the playoffs? We're going to find all those answers out in a matter of moments. We'll take a look at the late slate of games that are ongoing, plus the game balls of the game coming up next on Bill's Postgame. Stick with us as we remind you to be set up for some great hockey content on Sports for Beginners coming, including our recent recap of Saturday night's game against the Islanders. Game 2 goes at 5:30 tonight on this Sunday as we record this. On Sunday, December 29th, 2024. It should be out. This should be out for December 30th, 2024. Because we have a lot to put out, especially when it comes to New Year's Eve, with a big matchup for the Penguins coming up on New Year's Eve on Tuesday. So we'll be back with more with Bill's postgame right after this. Stick with us.
Looking for conversations on books and more? as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications, you've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches.
Cianity Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on Cianity Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on Cianity Radio.
Dolphins Nation, as we welcome you back to Bill's Postgame here on this Victory Monday edition of Bill's Postgame. Dolphins Nation, your season is still alive. Here's what we need to have happen for the Dolphins before we get back to this topic of conversation for the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. Here's what we need the Dolphins to do in order to get into the playoffs. First, next week, depending on when Kansas City and Denver play, we need a Denver loss. Indianapolis lost this week. So, tonight, I should say by the end of today, of course, by the time you hear this show, which will be on a Monday, hopefully, the Dolphins will have either won this game or they would all have lost this game against the Cleveland Browns. But they need to beat the Cleveland Browns on the game going on right now, which is tied at 3-3. They need to beat Cleveland, and they need to defeat the New York Jets. They need a Denver loss, and they need to win out and beat the Jets next week, as well as beat the Browns today. Well, job number one might be getting done if the Dolphins end up winning this game. And you all know what that means for someone like the guy that I love. I'm not a Dolphins fan, but I love this dude who's a Dolphins fan who reacts to every Dolphins win or Dolphins lose. So I don't want to toot that guy's own horn, but should this end up being a Dolphins win, get your victory ice cream out for that time. I don't want to toot anyone's own horn, but victory ice cream could be coming should the Dolphins pull off a win against the Browns. It should probably happen, but it definitely must happen now that the Giants have beaten the Colts, and the Colts are now out of the playoffs with that loss to the Giants. So with the loss to the Giants of 45-33, the Dolphins just need a loss from Denver, and they need to beat the Jets next week, but they also need to win this week over the Browns. That's what they need. Now, for the Bills, we don't really have to worry too much, but we will have to worry about the Dolphins come playoff time, should they end up in the playoffs. The one thing we know for sure, the number one seed is not ours to command anymore. Although it would have been if we got a Steelers win and one team played Grinch on Christmas in the Steelers-Chiefs game. Apparently the team playing Grinch, or I guess you could say Santa Claus, was the Kansas City Chiefs, and the team playing Grinch were the Pittsburgh Steelers. And unfortunately, Santa won, as he always would do on Christmas. And the Grinch, well, he got unlucky. It could have been Merry Christmas, Bills Mafia, but instead, we'll take the number 2 seed. Which I know a lot of Bills fans are thinking, we really want that number 1 seed. We really want that number 1 seed. Why did we not get it? Why did we not get it? Well, the Steelers didn't do a job that we wanted them to do. We needed a Steeler win. They didn't do it. And because of that, the Chiefs have the number 1 seed, and we have the 2 seed. I guess it's a bit bittersweet, right? Right? Yeah, okay. Okay. Time now for the play of the game on Bills postgame. And I mean, it's tough for me to pick, but I think I gotta go with second quarter after the interception led to a punt for the Bills when on their first drive of the second quarter out of the 2 they had. I gotta go with that safety. What a nice play by AJ Epinesa in there to drop him. In there to drop Aaron Rodgers for a safety. Oh, by the way, with that, Aaron Rodgers has now become the most sacked quarterback in NFL history all time. He passed Tom Brady for the most sacks given up in NFL history. With that sack. And by the way, the 5-time defending AFC East champion Bills have now improved to 13-3 to match a franchise single season record, and will open up the playoffs hosting the conference's 7th seed in 2 weeks. Whoever that may be. Miami or Denver, it's definitely not going to be the Indianapolis Colts. They are gone. They are out of it. So it's coming down to Buffalo versus either the Chargers or the Broncos or even Miami. We will see. The outing this week was a meltdown for Aaron Rodgers and the now 4-12 Jets, who will finish with 5 or fewer wins for the 7th time over a 14-season playoff drought, the NFL's longest active streak. Discipline was an issue for the Jets in this game. There's no question about that. Play of the game for me is the safety by AJ Epinesa in the second quarter to make the Bills go up 9-0. The Bills rout the Jets 40-14, and it's now time for us to take a break. But before we do, due to time constraints, we are just going to give you two. We're going to give you two. We're going to go ahead and give you two game balls of the game now that the play of the game is out of the way. And still awaiting our victory speech. I will play that for you in just a matter of moments as we get it. If we don't get to a victory speech, I will have that as a little interesting part ahead of next week's game. But we are the number 2 seed. We are the number 2 seed. All right, we actually do have it. So I will play that for you to take us to break. No. You know what? We'll play the victory speech coming back. We'll play the victory speech coming back for you. So here's what we're going to do. We'll take a break after I get over the game balls of the game, 2 per side, 2 per side for the Jets and the Bills. Bring you back with our victory speech from the locker room in Buffalo. And from there, we will, we will set up our final week of the season for the Jets and the Patriots. I should say the Bills. Which we all know who's playing next. We all know who the Jets and the Bills are playing next week. We know who they're playing. All that coming up next in just a little bit. But before we get to the break, before we get to the break, I want to make sure we do this. So here we go. I want to make sure we do this before we get to the break. Here we go. We're going to go with a game ball of the game to Josh Allen for Buffalo. We're going to start with Buffalo. And a game ball to Josh Allen because why? Well, he didn't get sacked. Not to mention he threw 2 touchdowns. Got a touchdown on the ground. And we're also going to give one to James Cook. A touchdown on the ground. And a touchdown in the... And a touchdown. Oh, no. No touchdowns in the air there for James Cook, but he did get one on the ground, an 8-yard running touchdown, averaging 3.5 yards on the rush, 15 carries, 53 yards. Not too shabby for James Cook. How about Ty Johnson? 16 yards, 4 attempts, 4 carries, 4 yards average, 8 yards longest, no touchdowns. All right, well, we're going to give it to Allen and Cook. Allen and James Cook, with an honorable mention going to Mitch Trubinsky. I really like what I saw from Mitch. Not sure why he was put in there, but hey, you got to do what you got to do to win. On to the New York Jets. And the first guy that's going to get a game ball, how about Garrett Wilson? 28 yards, his longest catch. Caught 7 of his 8 targets. 66 yards, 9.4 yards average, and 1 touchdown. And then how about this? You got to come back. You got to come into the game, I should say, in relief of Aaron Rodgers, who went 12 of 18. He's going to get an honorable mention. But Tyrod Taylor is going to get the second game ball of the game for the New York Jets. So it's Tyrod Taylor and Garrett Wilson, the game ball of the game recipients. And game break update, game break update. 6-3 Miami on top of the Browns. 6-3 the score right now. Minnesota is on top, 7-3 against Green Bay in Minnesota. And that one's at halftime. 6-3 at halftime in favor of the Miami Dolphins. And with that all being said, we have a 7-3 win, a 7-3 lead, I should say, for the Vikings over the Packers. But we'll talk about that all in a couple of moments. Game balls of the game to Josh Allen and James Cook for the Bills. Tyrod Taylor and Garrett Wilson for the Jets. Bills win it 40-14 and in 30 seconds after the victory speech. And a word from our local station, probably our weekly in sports station. We will provide you with this victory speech. My preview of the Bills Patriots plus Jets Dolphins. We'll preview that one as well. Last stop on Bills post game, the preview of Patriots Bills and Jets and Dolphins next up on Bills post game. But before that, we talk with our boys in the locker room. Josh and Sean will have us coming up in just a matter of moments, in 30 seconds. Plus the shout song to take us out. As always, stick right with us. Back in 30 seconds. Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Where's Ciano? Can we just get that live? Can we get that live? Come on! Yeah! Hey, and I mean this. Listen. Where else would you rather be than right here, right now, baby, right? Come on! Putting on the red, white, and blue, the Buffalo Bills, man. Doesn't get any better than this. 8-0 at home. Yeah. That's hard to do. For what? The third time in franchise history. Third time. That's awesome, man. Good job. Great complimentary football game. Defense and special teams. That is the level you're capable of playing every week right there. I'm holding you to it. That's a great job taking the football away. Special teams setting us up with real solid football, and offense cashing in. Great job, man. Great job. I got a couple game balls here. Couple game balls. And I'm probably biased, but I think this guy is the MVP. Josh Allen. Hang on. Yeah, speech. I love it. Josh Allen, first player in NFL history. Five straight seasons of 40 touchdowns. All right, we got Amari Cooper, 10,000. 10,000. See you Monday? No. We got a young buck, Shavers, who's been working his tail. Hey, listen up. Offense. And this, I know it's the offense, but it's a full team deal here, right? Most touchdowns and points in a season in Bills history. Great job, man. Hey, defense, keep taking the football away. A lot of names I could mention. A.J. Epinez with a sack. Taking the football away. Jordan Phillips, right? Greg Rousseau. Matt Milano. CB. Great job, man. Here we go, fellas. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. One, two, three.
Josh Allen, Sean McDermott bringing us back in. Hopefully the audio works for that because that would have been really loud. And that was actually quite the introduction there back into our program here. 30-second timeout, our final timeout of the show. As Coach McDermott mentioned, the Bills 8-0 at home for the third time in franchise history. Wow. How about that? How about that, Bills Mafia? How about that for your victory Monday? What a day it has been for this Buffalo Bills team. What a day it has been. What a day it has been. Offense clicking on all cylinders. Defense clicking on all cylinders. There wasn't really much that was not clicking on all cylinders in this game. You got the Bills winning 40-14. Oh my goodness me. What a day it was for the big bad Buffalo Bills, as I sometimes like to call them. What a day it was for your big bad blue and red Buffalo Bills. Bills get the Patriots next week. Before we get to that, I talked about the game break before we went to the break. Let's talk about that game break and see what else has transpired since then. A little bit of a game news update in the game that is now in the third quarter. Terran Armstead was in the game for the Dolphins. He is a left tackle. Injured his knee. He will not return to the game against the Browns, which is currently, as we speak, 6-3 Dolphins. Looks like it's a field goal game down in soggy Cleveland Brown territory. Meanwhile, at the half, the Minnesota Vikings are topping the Green Bay Packers at 13-3. Reminder right now, the records of the games still going on, and those are in the late slate right now. The records for Miami, they are 7-8, looking to go to 8-8. The Browns are looking to go to 4-12 instead of 3-13. The Green Bay Packers are looking to go 12-4 instead of 11-5. And the Minnesota Vikings look to go 14-2 instead of 13-3. We'll see what happens. The other records as we speak. The Atlanta Falcons looking to go 9-7 instead of 8-8. And the Washington Commanders looking to go 11-5 instead of 10-6. That's our Sunday Night Football matchup. Touchdown Dolphins, as I was talking about that. Quickly here before we get to the touchdown. The Lions are 13-2, looking to go 14-2 instead of 13-3. The 6-9 49ers look to go 7-9 instead of 6-10. And that's on Monday Night Football. I'm going to provide you with my pick for that in just a moment. As I said, touchdown Miami, and the Dolphins have opened up their lead from 6-3 to 13-3. Extra point by Jason Sanders. Up and good. They now lead the Browns by 10 points. It's a 10-point lead for Miami, despite leading at half by 3. With Hopkins hitting a 25-yard field goal early on, and then Sanders hitting a 39-yard field goal moments after hitting a 54-yard field goal early in the game in the first quarter. This time he gets an extra point opportunity, and he does not miss. So now both games in the late window are at 13-3. One is already in the second half. The other will join it shortly. One of those is on Fox. The other is on CBS. Check your local listings for your game. All right. Final moment of the show. The victory speech has come and gone. So before we get to my play of the... Before we get to my... No, not my play. Before we get to my pick for Monday Night Football, because by the time you listen to this, the Sunday Night Football game between the Falcons and the Commanders will have gone final. My pick for the Monday Night Football game between the Lions and the Niners. You know what? Give me the Lions. I think the 49ers have a good shot to beat the Lions, but if it's anything like... Excuse me there. If it's anything like the Lions game against the Bills 2 weeks ago, I say 2 weeks ago because that's right, 2 weeks ago, because we played the Lions. The Bills had played the Lions before they played the Jets. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Oh, no, sorry. 3 weeks ago now, because they did play the Patriots before they played the Jets. Now they're going to play the Patriots again. All things considered. We know that if it's anything like that, it's probably going to be a blowout for the Lions. But I digress there. So there you go. I'm going to give you my pick as a Lion. As for the Lions to win that game on Monday Night Football. But again, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. All right. So, with that being said, I have 2 Pittsburgh hockey shows to get to you. We have a women's hockey show to get to you. So that is just about almost we're almost at the end of the show here. But that is pretty much going to do it for this episode of Bills Postgame. Bills win it 40 to 14 over the New York Jets. They sweep the New York Jets in the season series of 2 games in the divisional battles. As Sean McDermott said, 8-0 at home. Well, coming out of the bye and coming out of the loss to the Rams, the Bills are now 3-0 coming off that loss against the Rams, and 4-1 coming off the win out of the bye week, 35-10 over the Niners on Sunday Night Football on December the 1st. So, they are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, now 4, 4-1 since the loss coming out of the bye week. They are 4-1 coming out of the bye week. Regarding that loss to the Rams. And coming off that loss to the Rams, they are 3-0. So when exactly will the Bills be playing the Patriots next week on Sunday? It looks like we will be seeing the Patriots on Sunday, but still a lot to be determined, so I'm pretty sure we will have the answer by the time this show goes out. But let me just say this. It was an absolute blowout for the Bills to blow up the New York Jets. This was definitely not a couple of weeks ago's game. This was definitely not the couple of weeks ago game after that loss to the Texans and the loss to the Ravens a couple of weeks ago. This was not that win of 23-20. This was more of a Jacksonville Jaguar game the alternative way. Yes, the Bills didn't make it to 47, but they still beat the Jaguars 47-10, and they ended up scoring a 40-burger on the New York Jets, who could only muster 14 points this time. So, with that being said, that'll wrap it up here. Bills improved to 13-3. They are officially the 2nd seed in the AFC. The Jets are 4-12. They are already out of playoff contention. So the draft order has been shaken up, it looks like. It all comes down to the Dolphins. If things go their way, that playoff race, and specifically the wild card, is going to be interesting. The Colts are out with the loss to the G-Men Giants, who are also out. And they have been way out of the season. Way out of it. Way out. So it comes down to the Bengals, Broncos, and Dolphins. The 6th seed right now is the Chargers. The 5th seed is the Steelers. So, who will the Bills most likely be playing in 2 weeks? If the Broncos make it, they will go head-to-head with the Broncos in 2 weeks in Buffalo. If the Dolphins find a way to eliminate Denver, they will face Buffalo in 2 weeks' time, meaning it will be the third time we have seen the Dolphins this year. The Ravens will probably be playing the Chargers, the Steelers against the Texans. One thing's for sure, whoever wins in either the wild card games or wherever will play the Chiefs in the AFC Championship round. Now, not to quote my brother here, but he thinks it's going to come down to next week. Dolphins probably win, but he's not concerned about the Dolphins winning against the Jets. He's concerned about Denver defeating the first round bye 15-1 Chiefs to improve to 10-7 next week. And what that does for Buffalo, should Buffalo beat the Patriots next week and improve to 14-3. I don't know what's going to happen. The reality is this. The actual reality is this. Right now, the Bills are the number 2 seed, and that's all we can say. So the Chiefs receive the number 1 seed. They receive the first round bye. We don't receive the first round bye. But at least we get to play at Buffalo in the first round of the playoffs. In the wild card against the Bengals, maybe. Chargers, maybe. Or if worse comes to worse, we have to play the Dolphins and play them again. The beauty of it is, it will be in Orchard Park, where our next conversation will be next week on Sunday. On a very busy day for Thomas and myself. So please be staying with us because we will try to get as many shows to you on that day as possible, as that is a very, very special day for myself and Thomas. A very, very special day for us. And it's also going to have some hockey to talk about when you talk about the Penguins. And we also have, right before that, we will have a nice little time to check in with the Minnesota Frost on Thursday, January the 2nd, and Saturday, January 4th. All of those still to come. And speaking of the Minnesota Frost, that's where we're going to head next. Before we head back to the ice on the men's side of things for Pittsburgh versus the Islanders. That's the team they are currently playing round 2 of right now and currently lead 1-0 in our Sunday game. Last night, they played in Long Island and lost 6-3. So what will the final tonight be? Find out as we roll on into that post-game show of the 6-3 loss. And much more. With that all said, that'll do it for this episode of Bills Postgame. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go enjoy your Victory Monday, Bills Mafia. And I look forward to catching up with you again after the Pats and the Bills, whenever the time may be. Stick around. We might tease it on one of the hockey shows, particularly Penguin Postgame, when we know for sure when we're playing, whether we're playing on January the 5th, or that game is going into the Saturday slate. Regardless, the Bills win it big, 40-14, your final. They are the number 2 seed in the AFC. Will that change come next week? Is the tiebreaker still in play? Can the Bills somehow sneakily take away that number 1 seed from the Chiefs? All the answers on the next episode of Bills Postgame. Until then, it's time to sing. It's time to sing our victory song. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to sing the shout song. So without further ado, I have delayed it long enough. That'll bring us to an end of the show. It's time to sing shout. You know what to do, Bills Mafia. Get on out of here, will you? It's time for our shout song. It's time to shout. Here we go with our fight song. All credit to YouTube, the Buffalo Bills, their YouTube channel where you just heard our victory speech from, and all credit in between. I don't own any of it, but we love to play the shout song. We love to play the shout song. And that's what you're going to hear take us out. Go Bills! And I look forward to catching up with you again after Bills and Patriots, whenever that may be. Stick around for updates on that. Shout. It's time. Let's hit it. Get on out of here, will ya, Bills Mafia? Oh, and by the way, as we count down to New Year's Eve, I want to wish all of Bills Mafia a very happy New Year. All right. Shout. The floor is yours.
The Bills make me wanna shout. Kick your heels up and shout. Throw your hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah. Say you will. Shout it right now, baby. Say you will. Come on, come on. Say you will. Come on and shout. Buffalo's happening now. We're on the move now. The Bills are happening now. They're making it happen now. We got the spirit, a lot of spirit, yeah. We got the spirit. Just watch it happen now. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. The Bills make me wanna shout.
See you next week, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time.